Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to make a build video on Ember. Ember, you can farm from Tethys on Saturn or just the assassination mission on Saturn. So Ember's abilities, she's pretty simple when it comes to abilities, but also at the same time a little complex. So your passive, you receive 5% ability strength for every enemy within your affinity range affected by heat. Your first ability is Fireball. You throw a fireball and it does a little AoE of fire. Your second ability is Immolation. It builds up as you catch people on fire with your abilities, and it builds up from a 50% damage reduction to a 90% damage reduction, and then once it is fully built up, it will start to drain your energy, which isn't too crazy because of your third ability, Fire Blast. You slam the ground and do like a Blitz Eximus Slam, and when you do that, it will bring your meter down, but because you're bringing your meter down, it will also kick the energy drain off for your second ability, so you can basically cycle these to never have a drain on your 2, and always have the damage reduction. And then your fourth ability, you summon in some meteors, and they strike the enemies. And then we have an augment on our third ability called Healing Flame, where when we hit R3, and it hits enemies, we will build up Overguard, and then we also get a little bit of health back. So let me show you how her abilities work. Let me go ahead and activate R2 just so it's building up in the background. So your first ability, you throw a fireball, and it does a little AoE explosion, and then you can see our meter fills up more and more the more fireballs we throw. And then our fourth ability, you can hit it, and it does a big AoE, and then you can see our damage reduction has built up super high. You can tell by the swirling flame around me. And then if I hit 3, we'll knock everybody down and also knock our drain off. And you can see up in the top right, we are also gaining Overguard from hitting these guys, because with the augment for our third ability, the more enemies you hit, the more Overguard you gain, kind of similar to the augment for Frost's fourth ability, but that is the kind of what her abilities do. And now we will jump into a Steel Path mission, and I can show you how she functions in Steel Path. Alright, now we are here in Steel Path on Deimos, and I've gone ahead and filled up my energy so that I can start using my abilities. So we'll go ahead and throw on our damage reduction, and then we'll start throwing out our fireballs. And if you want to, for this setup, you could throw Nourish over your first ability, because that's what I would say with this setup is her Subsume slot would be her first. Let's go ahead and stomp some of our DR out so we can get a little Overguard. Because I could see having a little bit of energy issues with this build if you forget to do your 3 to knock off your damage reduction, or just really spamming your 1. But I haven't had too many energy issues with this setup specifically, and I've been using it in Steel Path in the Warframe 99 area, but you can see here we're at 5,000 Overguard, and we've also got 80% damage reduction now. We're not even using our guns, we're mostly using our abilities. Let's knock that back down so that we don't start draining energy too quickly. Let's go ahead and get some kills on our own, so that we can get a little bit more energy back. But once you get her DR active, you don't really have to use your other abilities, because once you get it to max, you just stomp and get Overguard back. So aside from that, you can ignore her other abilities, and I think I was planning on subsuming her 1 off for Nourish or something else, just to help out with the energy issues, because I don't believe I have flow on this setup. Let's get a little more Overguard here, and summon our meteors in to do some damage, so that we can get some more ability strength. But this setup's pretty comfy, because that's the gameplay style that I like with my builds, is just comfort more than like actual output. Because if you've seen my Saren video, you would know that for sure, because my Saren is not amazingly optimized, but I like the comfort in my build, being able to just kind of chill and do my own thing, while also having a lot of survivability. Because I've heard gun buff Saren is insane, and I have a setup now that's gun buff Saren, with Roar and then Venom Dose and something else. But I really like these comfy playstyles, where I'm just like pretty much immune to damage, where I just run around and use my guns and spam my abilities as much as I want. I don't know, it fits my playstyle really nicely, and Ember kind of at least with this setup, Ember fits that, where I can just do my thing while using my abilities. And I get Overguard, which is nice, so I don't have to worry about Prime Sure-Footed or getting knocked down, because Overguard prevents it. And I don't have to worry about getting statuses on me, because Overguard prevents them. And this AoE on the ground doesn't matter. And then there's an augment for her first ability, which I'll put on screen now, that is similar to Venom Dose from Saren or Volt's Shock Trooper, but it's for heat damage. So if you want to, you could use that, which might be good for me to have, because I do not have it on this setup. But even without it, Ember's pretty solid. As you can see, I'm pretty much exclusively using my weapons and just using the Overguard from my 3 and then my damage reduction from my 2. But this setup's pretty good. I've been enjoying Steel Path. I've been playing it some in 1999 and everything like that. Just as like a... because I haven't really tried Ember before either. Because early on in my Warframe time, I was super into meta. So now I'm just kind of going back and experimenting with some older frames and seeing that they're actually pretty good and that I should have been playing them all a lot sooner. Because if you saw Zephyr's video from the other day, that's another example. I went back and tried some older frames who are still really good. And I don't know, maybe they've been power crept and that's why I don't see many people playing them much anymore. But I'm chilling right now with 15k Overguard and just kicked it back down, but 90% damage reduction without needing to run adaptation. And then I have my fire stuff, and my 3 knocks enemies down, so I've got like a pretty solid CC, not like the best in the world, but knocking the enemies down is pretty decent. But this has been a pretty comfy setup that I've been running. Plus, the Ember Heirloom, I mean, let's be honest, the Ember Heirloom skin is always nice. But I've had that since it came out, because it's a really good skin, and I like it. But Ember is pretty chill. I like this frame. She does a little bit of this and a little bit of that with all her abilities. And then you always pretty much exclusively have her passive active at all times, because you just always have the bonus. Ability strength, because everyone's always on fire from either your 1, 3, or 4. So you don't really have to worry about trying to focus keeping her passive up, because between your meteors and your fireballs and your 3, you just have a ton of fire AoE that you can throw around. But Ember's been a new one lately next to Zephyr that I've been enjoying. And like I said in the Zephyr video, why aren't you playing Ember Prime? Ember Prime is like 100 platinum right now to buy off the market. And I do not have 100 platinum, I have 2. So I don't have the platinum to spare for Ember Prime, especially when default Ember, as you've seen in this little segment here, is doing just fine. I'm having no issues surviving with default Ember, and I don't want to fight that, so I'm going to walk out. That is the gameplay section covered, so now we will jump back into the arsenal, and I can show my build off for Ember. Alrighty, now we are back in the back rooms, and I can show you my Ember build. So we only have one build today. We have, for our Aura mod, Growing Power, which this is flexible, it's whatever you feel, but I like the extra strength that this gives when I do status effects with my weapons. We have Streamline for some efficiency to help with the drain from R2, just in case we don't notice it. We have Stretch for some range, Transient Fortitude for strength, Primed Continuity for more ability duration, Intensify or Umbral if you want to for strength. We have Archon Vitality, which we're mainly using this for the second effect, where our heat damage will be applied twice, because all of our abilities are heat damage, so it's really nice synergy there. And then we have 2 augments. We have Healing Flame, which makes our 3 give us Overguard and a little bit of health for more enemies we hit, which with this setup, we get a cap of, I think I had 17,000 in the mission, even though it says I'm capped at 16. And then we have Exothermic. Enemies killed have a 15% chance to drop an energy orb. So if they're on fire, which is most of them, they have a chance to drop energy. And then I have Arcane Energize, which this is a flexible slot, you can put whatever here, but I like Energize, synergizing with Exothermic. Gives us a lot more energy because we aren't running Flow, which if you do want Instead of Streamline, you probably could just slop Flow on here and get the same effect. And then we have Molt Augmented for more ability strength. A budget setup would look something like this. You have Flow, all of these mods, which are pretty early on to get, and then Healing Flame is one that you can get for about 10 platinum, or if you're in a clan, you could probably ask somebody to trade it to you for probably some basic mod, because people are tend to be nicer to clan mates or newer players overall in this game. And then Aura mod, you can put really anything. Dreamer's Bond is one you get pretty early in the game, but this is what a more budget or beginner setup would look like for just base star chart. And then later on you would want to upgrade to this. With that being said, that is my build for Ember Prime, or Ember. I hope you guys enjoyed the video nonetheless, and I will see you guys in the next video.